Hello everyone, this is Redesigned for Resilience, transforming your business into a business inspired by nature. And during this workshop we're stepping through the design spiral and now we're on to the abstract phase. And here's where it sits in the spiral. So you've identified your business design functions, the things you want your design to do. You translated those functions and then the conditions, operating conditions, into biological terms, and you just got done discovering many of nature's amazing models and strategies for performing the functions that you've identified that you want your business design to perform. I hope you had a fantastic time doing that, and I hope it really busted open the world of possibilities. So I know I've said this before, but in addition to this being a whole sequence to get to the idea of actually coming up with your business inspired by design, business inspired by nature design, each step on its own is a value add process. So I'm hoping in the discover phase it really opened up your mind to new possibilities. Perhaps it challenged the very basis of what it is you wanted to design in the first place. So now in the abstract phase, you take the discoveries that you made, the strategies and the models, and then you really dig in deeper to determine how the strategies and models actually work. So in this process of abstract is almost the reverse of what we did in Translate. So in Translate we took what we came up with in our business language and translated it into biology. And now in the abstract phase you take what you discovered in the biological world and translate it back into business terminology. To do that, we reverse engineer the strategy or the model, or sometimes I like to say pretend it's gray, pretend that it already is in the business world in your case, and then reverse engineer how it actually works. So what you're going to do in this phase is describe the strategies or models using business term. So at the end of the discover phase, you had you came up with a list of strategies or descriptions of how functions were performed by organisms or in systems in nature, and now you're going to rewrite that. You're going to rewrite those descriptions using business terms. And again, by just doing that, you might discover a whole new set of ideas that you hadn't even come up with in the discover phase. And we said back in the discover step that it was good if you had a lot of different strategies you were coming up with to organize them into a taxonomy, so to group them somehow. That may or may not have made sense at that stage, but when you get to the abstract phase and you start describing how the strategies actually work, then you can create your taxonomy or organize your strategies that you've discovered. So it'll start to make more sense to you once you put it in business terms. And again, once you do that, you're going to look for patterns, general principles, trends, or overall approaches that are emerging. So when you go to that translate phase or reverse translate phase and you're abstracting out the essence or the process or the principle behind how this actually works, then things will start to emerge for you. Now remember, at this phase, this step, you just have a list of possibilities. You're not quite to the design phase yet. So right now, don't worry about any kind of screening or winnowing down or filtering. Just let them all stay in your list and try and keep that list as long as possible. So what does this look like in our vacation policy example? Okay, if you recall the strategies that we observed from trees and bears and lions and ants and squirrels and otters, and we came up with, some observations and some strategies and some approaches. Now let's see what it looks like if we try to abstract that using business terminology. And instead of saying, for example, lions, we will put in our design goal, which is vacation, a vacation policy. Okay, so the abstractions might look like vacation occurs when business activities are slowest. Okay, so we've translated that bears hibernate in the winter when things outside are really slow or inactive. That's how we abstracted this into business terminology, a terminology that makes sense for our particular design situation. Or vacation occurs when business can run itself. That's the analogy or the abstraction of trees kind of taking it easy in the summer. So the business is still running, but it's not such hard work, for example. Vacation is encouraged. Vacation is encouraged or scheduled as needed for well-being. Vacation times are coordinated with other team members. I think we a lot of people do this anyhow, but maybe we don't think quite how that might play out. Business activities and expenses are reduced during vacations. That's almost the reverse of this one. So instead of having vacation when business activities are slowest, why don't we simply turn down business activities and expenses to allow for vacation? That's just an idea. Again, we're not sticking with these. They're just abstracting out things that we've seen in nature that may or may not make sense for our particular situation. How about this one? This has to do with the lions. Vacations is not scheduled around work. Work is scheduled around vacation. So what if what we call vacation, kind of rest, relax, and play, is the status quo, is a steady state situation, and work only happens when you're not vacationing? This is the otter and squirrel example. Work is playful, enjoyable, and fulfilling, so vacation isn't needed. Or refreshing changes of pace or travel are embedded in work cycles. Vacation times can be scaled. So you can have many very short vacations, and I'm putting that in quotation marks. In other words, like leave work an hour too early. Longer vacations are taken much less frequently. So again, we see how we're kind of translating into very specific things into more general ideas and approaches. Vacation policy is not uniform. Some have much more flexibility than others, and some get much more vacation than others. That has to do with nature not being fair the way that humans tend to use that word. And then getting at the last one is staycations or stay-at-home vacations are encouraged. So again, these are some of how we abstracted the discoveries that we made in the last step. Okay, so it's your turn to go ahead and do your abstraction on the strategies and models that you discovered. Go ahead and turn to the abstract pages of your biomimicry design spiral document. And to help you with this phase, you're going to go through something from the Pine Cones to Productivity booklet called accretion. And this, you're going to do this activity slightly modified from what you see here. But what you're going to do is, as you're trying to do abstraction, one person will write something down, their translation, and then the next person's going to see if they can improve it, and so on and so forth, until you finally get it all the way translated into complete business language. And what you might want to do is the first round you try and translate the nouns, second round you might want to translate verbs, another round you might want to translate adjectives, and so on. Okay, so it's accretion, it's the group activity. You keep going rapid fire, go round and round, adding to or accreting the previous person's initial attempt. Okay, it's your turn. Go give it a go. Again, I hope this is really amazing and what starts to emerge for you in this step. All right, and when you get done with your work for your abstract stage, next is emulate, where you actually get to design your business solution. All right, have fun with this, and I will see you in the emulate video.